Welcome to Dungeon Not Included, the actual play podcast for the adventurous listener. I'm here with Russell. Hi, Russell.
Hi there.
And we have no players, no other players.
Yeah.
We may be having a technical difficulty, but that's, you know what? That's going to be fun because we're going to be able to vamp a little bit and talk about things so far. So normally it's hard to name these episodes because we're about to wrap episode 1 of the story, right?
Yes, sort of. Yeah.
So how does the game work in general when it comes to like beats and chapters?
Yeah. So I kind of made it up around the idea of like your typical 4-hour game session. For podcasts, whatever, they kind of split up into smaller time chunks. We either have to accelerate things a great deal, or we just kind of have to divide it up into, I guess, sort of like clusters of scenes. So, I mean, typically one play session, about 4 hours, is meant to be one episode of the show. So it starts with the beats of scenes that lead into a big crisis moment where everything explodes and goes crazy, tracks through the important events of the crisis, those beats. And then from there, we go into a series of sort of like the resolution beats. I always wanted to build in the opportunity for us to have a little bit of that, what's the word I'm looking for? Denouement, I guess. A place where we can have some reflection, or for characters to kind of dig themselves out of the messes that they made leading into the episode. So that's that's kind of baked in, that there would be a few beats at the end to hopefully put some things right, or just try and wind up loose ends, things like that, like they do in a show. They don't immediately run the credits after the robot fight's over. We have a few moments for someone to learn a valuable lesson, or talk about the next thing they're going to do. Depending.
I love the idea of baking in the lesson, the part of the show where people are just like, well, we've learned something here today, or I'm going to teach you all something. I'll teach you a lesson. There's a lot of we had a lot of tension built up out of 4 sessions so far, or including our 0-1. So we have the emotional turmoil on campus, as it were, building up to the really, we did incredibly well in the beginning part of that attack.
Yeah. There were a lot of really good die rolls that kept you guys just kind of flying on through the whole thing. So I was, I don't know. Impressed.
It was even better when the big bad shows up, because you've got that moment where everybody has shown off, done their thing, and is feeling incredibly cocky, and then suddenly the boss music cues in.
Yep. That's kind of the guidance that's in the that I have in the book, is like I could start with the giant robot attack, but generally you want to give people a moment to show off, squash some bugs, kind of feel the power of the mecha before you throw in the big monster. Because that's the thing, is that you guys are, you're still fighting it. I mean, you look at like the beat count left for the scene, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot more to go, but a few bad die rolls and that stretches.
Right.
The beats and how the story moves along kind of depends on how good your die rolls are. Bad die rolls mean the fight goes on longer, more dice will be rolled, more opportunities for something to go wrong. So,
Yeah, and I do appreciate when the things they do go wrong are narrative and not just whiff, and then waiting for your turn to do enough damage. One of our players has showed up, so I'm going to add Rebel to the stream. Hello.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm on vacation and I literally forgot it was Monday.
Oh no.
Forgot it was Monday. That's a good vacation.
I'm
You're not
also
day of the week.
In a different time zone. So like it's 7:00 for me right now, which is also weird because I'm usually on the East Coast.
Well, that's nice. Well, I think it's all the better that Brendan isn't here because he's going to wander in being like, I have no excuse. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. You've already tagged all the good excuses, so he's going to have to work harder to come up with
That's
something.
right.
Yeah. So you've got time zone and vacation. What can he come up with that matches that?
Right.
We'll find out. Hopefully. So how do we want to cover this? Do we want to like start without Brennan and see what happens? Let him possibly come in afterwards, or do we want to chat more about what we found so far in the game, or what are you thinking?
Now you see the thing is about like a fight in tiers. There isn't really necessarily an initiative order. People generally just tend to sort of fall into creating kind of loose rounds based around stuff. I mean, I don't really want there to be an initiative order so that people can pile in and work together when they're all after the same thing. I mention that because Shrike hasn't really done anything against the Magnus yet. So if we want to give Shrike a chance to take a shot at the Magnus and see if Tigana's gonna, going to back Faye up on that. And
all right,
we can see where that goes. Do you want me to sort of reset the scene, get us back into the moment?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, cool.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and if Brennan gets here, then we will work him in. So our intrepid heroes, our saint pilots, boarded their saints and dispatched out to the battlefield under the orders of Commander Merrick to defend a convoy transporting important supplies and weapons and so on to the construction site at Philadelphia, where the new Arks is being made. You join the battle fighting mostly against Locust, the giant bug tanks that the Ven dispatched to deal with their opposition. And after trouncing a good number of them and rescuing most of the convoy, a Magnus appeared, surging down out of the sky as a meteorite and crashing down on you. Now, of course, that crashing was rather blunted because Tigana put up a huge curtain of explosives, which knocked it off course. And then, let's see, I've forgotten the name. I've forgotten Fatima's mech name.
Oh, why don't we have campaign notes in this?
It's Mischief.
There we are. Yes. And then Mischief put up her shield to catch the Magnus just as it landed, having that demolished in the process of doing so. So the Magnus has crashed down kind of in the middle of the three of you. You are sort of spread around the most of the convoy has escaped under the cover of fire. Some of the lead vehicles are able to hit the accelerators and zip away. Other vehicles behind them have sort of moved off to side roads and so on to escape the conflict, including one that Tigana passed through a dimensional portal in order to put it out of harm's way. But the Magnus is still there. There are still 3 beats left on our what's the word about our clock, I guess you'd say. Yeah, there are still 3 beats left in our crisis scene, meaning that we have to keep fighting this thing until those beats tick down and the scene comes to an end. And that means that there are still convoy vehicles that are in danger. These are the heavy convoy vehicles. I think I already mentioned the convoy lead being one of the big, these big like monster truck looking things, kind of like a train on monster truck wheels rolling along the road. You've already rescued the one that had all the explosives on board. So these two have things like construction supplies, fuel, and other stuff like that won't go up as big if it's destroyed, but still, what's not something you want to lose in the midst of the fight. So, as you are fighting over those, the Magnus has crashed down in that blast that demolished Mischief's shield, flinging her back away from the small crater stirred up by the collision. The Magnus pulls itself back up out of the smoke and debris and twists around. It has 6 heads which spin around in all directions, looking for targets, looking for something to fire at. As it does that, its mouths all open wide, and you can see a glowing fire inside those mouths begins to sort of sharpen until it starts to spray laser beams out of its mouths in directions around it, crossing them over each other as they begin to slice down the trees on either side of the road and carving up the pavement, those beams arcing toward the convoy vehicles, and the 3 of you sort of spread out around it as those convoy vehicles try to make their way away from this crash down and disaster. So now that we've got all that excitement settled, I think we got Brennan back. Maybe Brennan might be here.
There
Cool.
he is.
All right then. Hello. So I was just catching
It's
people
Monday.
up. Yeah, it is. It's Monday. We were just saying because Rebel had 2 excuses: 1, vacation, and 2,
Right.
wrong time zone. So we were like, well, I don't know. What's Brennan going to bring as the? I don't know that you can outdo those. Oh well. But Monday is Monday, so we'll have to let that suffice. All right. So as I said, Shrike, you had not yet taken a shot against the Magnus. So if you would like to lead an action or defer to someone else, the Magnus has begun firing lasers from its mouth and sort of raking across the ground all around it, melting pavement and slicing down trees, and hopefully, in your case, not cutting apart the remaining convoy vehicles. You can always work together and just sort of pool your efforts to fight this thing, or if one of you wants to kind of take the lead and pick a convoy vehicle to defend, then you can do that as well. What are we thinking?
I'm down for either. I know what I think Shrike will do. But if we want to all work together, I think that could also be good.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to sort of make a team effort, I mean, let's say Convoy Heavy 1. That's the vehicle that's in the greatest threat right now. That's the one that's the lasers are starting to converge on that vehicle as it's, grinding up pavement and trying to get away from the crash and ensuing disaster. If you want to work to defend that one and you want to do it sort of as a team, then you need to sort of pick a leader for the team. And then anyone who's backing up that leader will be, an assistant to the leader. Who do we want to be the lead in defending that vehicle?
I can't recall correctly, but if Strike really didn't do anything much to the Magnus from last time, I'm fine with Strike being leader on this.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Strike. How do you attack? And those of you who are backing you up will need to sort of work their own little narration to sort of explain how they're helping you and how that relates to their traits. If you don't have a trait that can help Shrike, then you can't really help Shrike. But Shrike, what are you going to do to lead the battle, or this part of the battle?
So I've been kind of hovering in the back for a while, but now my bow is out of commission because I used it to ward off some beetles and such last time. So seeing the Magnus near the front, I think I'm going to use my cool skates to move to the front and get within range to start using my screamers, which are the throwing knives I have.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
And try to aim for, you said that it had multiple mouths that were ready to fire beams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's I'll aim for those.
All right. Good. Well, I think shooting still counts toward your actions, since you are, flinging these knives. What other traits are you bringing into this action?
I would say disturbing makes sense because I'm trying to stop it from firing before it happens.
Disrupt. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think anything else really fits. So.
Okay. Yeah, I guess this is kind of out of you're more comfortable with the bow, so not having the bow, you're kind of out of your element. All right, so you have 2 traits. Now, anyone who's assisting you, what traits will they use? You only need 1 because an assistant is only going to have 1 die to offer.
Mine's pretty simple. I'm going to do cover fire, just to distract the Magnus, and I'm going to use deceiving.
Sure.
Nice.
Good.
I'm going to use my wings to fly up to it, and I'm going to basically punch it into the range of the throwing stars.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. So you're going to drive it toward Shrike's weapons. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do then is, Shrike, you're going to roll 2 dice. Mischief, you're going to roll 1 die. And
wouldn't it be
Tigana,
3? Don't I get 1 for
3? You get 1 for being Sorry. Yes, you get 1 for being a saint. I don't know why I forgot that of all things. So yes, 3 dice for you, and each of your assistants is going to roll 1 die. And let's see what we've got. Okay, you've got a spread there. All right.
an even spread of positive, negative, and 0.
Yep.
I contributed 1 0, and Brennan 1 positive.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the next step. Before any dice get selected, Rebel, what you're going to do is choose one of the assistant's dice to replace one of yours. You've got a minus there. You're fighting a Magnus, so you're in trouble, meaning I'm going to be the one who picks first. So you probably want to be able to replace that minus with something.
Yeah.
I think
I'll take the plus from Mischief over here to replace that negative.
Gotcha. Okay. So Tigana, remember that you still have a blank result because there's going to be some result from that. Sticking your neck out, getting into all this can potentially lead to issues later. But okay, so that means that that Shrike now has a plus, and a blank. So I, being the GM and in control of the situation because of the giant robot causing you trouble, I will choose the blank to be the goal result. So a blank goal result means you don't lose, but you don't win. We're still fighting over the target. You can spend an ego point or wreck a piece of gear in order to turn that from a blank into a plus. That is up to you.
I'll leave it. Actually, I'll wreck my skates since I use those to narrate,
Sure.
coming up close.
So you burn them out? You just get a little too close?
Yeah, I think trying to get so quickly from the back of the convoy to the front of the convoy, I just used more fuel than I should have, and it burned them out.
I have a question. So when we burn out our equipment, are we actually burning them out forever, or are we burning them out until we, new scene later on?
Basically for the duration of the fight.
Okay.
By the they take you back to base. They re-outfit you and everything, and they've got spare equipment for you back at the base. I had put in a thought that if there's a really truly long fight, you might be able to get an equipment drop from the arcs, but we're not going to need to worry about that, I think. But yeah, but basically, spending the gear takes it out for the duration of the fight. You can repair it or replace it or whatever between fights.
Got it.
All right. So you, as you said, surge forward, putting all the energy into the skates until they start to sputter and die under your feet, leaving you running the last distance up to the Magnus, so you can start flinging the knives through the air, which arc and spin and crash into the heads of the the Magnus. At first, you aren't able to land any real solid hits, but that's when Mischief flies in with a thunderous punch against the side of the Magnus, sort of spinning it around and lining it up directly in front of you, so that you can't help but hit it with a flurry of knives. The Screamer knives hit the Magnus, dig into the sort of metal and ceramic coating of its statue form, and then detonate. So the big chunks of ceramic and metal and so on go flying out in all directions. The Magnus starts screaming and hollering, and thick black smoke bubbles out of every injury. But then every place where you've seen something smashed open, the metal starts to flow back together in kind of an imperfect shape, so that any head that you've smashed, like a hydra, sort of stretches and spreads into being two heads that start screaming back at you. All right. So that is your goal, your plus goal, which is good. So since you did move the goal up to being a plus, it does mean you get to choose the cost die instead of me. So what die will you choose? You have a plus and a blank left.
Actually, I have 2 pluses left because you used the blank.
Because I used the blank. Really? Why am I so out of it today? Yep. Okay. Yes, you've got 2 pluses left. So I guess you're taking a plus.
Vacation time zone. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah.
I will be on vacation in 2 weeks. That's why. See, my brain is already warming up to that.
There.
Yeah. Actually, it's because my air conditioning's off. That's why. There's my excuse. All right. Good. Yes. So a plus means no negative outcome to you. Now here's a fun thing. You have a leftover plus, a plus that wasn't used for goal or cost. Those leftover pluses we bank as ego for the future. Like, that's how you get more ego points, is by having a plus result and not using it. So go ahead and add a point of ego.
Done.
Cool. And there we go. So we have settled that outcome there. No danger befalls you. However, let's see, Tigana, you had a blank as your die result. So nothing too bad happens to you, but you do get a point of angst, or in this case, id, because you're in, because you are saint form, giant robot. So that's actually increases your id by 1 point. Just kind of the frustration that you feel at not being able to carry out the great victory that you wanted. So that adds a point to your id. What's your id to ego balance right now?
Even 2 to 2.
Even? All right. You're in fine shape then. Yep. Things aren't too bad yet. It's only when id is greater than ego that we have to start wondering, is something gonna go wrong? All right, but we're safe for now. Good. Yeah, and that convoy vehicle is able to evade the lasers and drive off to safety. The Magnus continues to spin around, shrieking and firing beams in all different directions, sweeping up huge wings that kick up clouds of dust that mix in with the smoke that's billowing out of all the cracks in its armor. And there is still one last convoy vehicle that's sort of caught in strike range of you all. As the Magnus sees that vehicle race past it, it sort of lifts itself up off the ground, and it doesn't run, it doesn't fly, it just kind of floats at a very high rate of speed in the direction of that other convoy vehicle, spraying, laser beams in the direction of the three of you as well, trying to hold you back again. So it looks like we're going to have to tick away that last beat in the fight by defending that last convoy vehicle from the Magnus. Who's going to lead this effort?
I think I'm going to try to overcompensate for not really contributing to the teamwork in the last one. Yeah. I am going... do I want to do something really stupid or just partially stupid?
There's only one beat left, so you can probably afford really stupid.
Let's do really stupid. I'm going to use the brain gun. So really...
No, don't be really stupid.
Oh, Rebel, if only you unmuted earlier. I'll do slightly less stupid. I'm going to use the brain gun on the convoy. I don't, like I'm, again, overcompensating. I know how to pilot the convoy out of the way. They're not handling this. So I'm going to target it, and I'm going to take over direction of the vehicle and use that to evade the Magnus.
Steer them away from the Magnus. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Does anybody want to offer an assist to that?
I'll help.
Or you think, okay.
I'm sorry. How does that work?
We don't
how
know,
does
really.
The brain gun work?
I don't think we really know. I think the hope is it can take over whoever is like. I think mostly it's aimed at these horrible creatures, but it could probably also take over the simple electronics of the convoy, the vehicle itself.
Okay.
We'll find out. If it rolls well, then hey, magically it works. If you roll poorly, then it wasn't designed for this kind of thing.
Right.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like a mind control gun.
No. And I am trying to like build up the tension of what this thing can do, because I think ultimately when this thing blows up, I'm going to use it on some sort of Magnus, and that would be the really, really stupid thing to do.
Well, I think what you said, it projects a mind into a remote target. So honestly, if you're able to properly connect, then you might just be giving the driver of the vehicle the holistic overview understanding of the battlefield that you have from having, 1,000,001 sensory devices connected into the world's most powerful supercomputer running through your mind.
Yeah,
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out what happens. Or he might distract the guy really badly, and he'll steer right into the destruction.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't overriding anybody's autonomy. That's all.
No, I don't think we will. We won't. I'm going to tag empathizing, and that's it. I think empathizing, the brain gun, and the no, you know what? I'm also going to do fearless. I'm throwing myself right into the battle.
Yourself into the madness of it. So that's 3 for the
and then the saint. Where is my chat, bro? Sorry. Okay, and I'm going to get it.
I'm going to help.
Getting an assist. So, What are you doing to assist?
I'm hovering above the Magnus and sweeping my wings and blowing the smoke back down into its sensory devices.
Nice.
See, that's good. Help to obscure the change in trajectory of the truck.
Good. Yeah, the only it seems one of the only things that Saint senses can't penetrate are the smoke that comes out of a Magnus. No one quite knows why. No one quite knows what it's made out of. But I mean, you can see through solid steel. You can bounce, signals off of satellites. You can't see through that cloud of smoke that comes out of, Magnus's vents.
Oh man!
Okay. I'd like
so much stupid.
I did a bad job.
And our rolls.
I'd like to try and assist.
Oh, you're going to help?
Yeah, by continuing to throw knives at this thing and try and keep it distracted.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and roll.
We'll tell everyone what we rolled.
Still shooting
in a minute.
Yep. Let's see what the result of that is. Because seeing a lot of minuses around that might lead us. Might lead us
There's another one.
Oh, more minuses.
All right.
Oh my god.
Minuses.
I had rolled 2 pluses, 2 minuses, and then Brennan and Rebel both rolled minuses. Yes.
You're kind of, this could go a lot of interesting ways. I think. I think obviously you are dealing with a Magnus, so I am still in control here. Here's what you can do. I don't know if you want to do this, Tigana, but you could potentially take the minus away from one of your company mates. The idea being that right now, a minus from an assist means that the person who's, assisting you kind of falls in the way of the fire or ends up in danger on their own. So right now, both Mischief and Shrike are going to get hit by something. If you actually take that one of their minuses on yourself, then that's you, saying, no, pushing them away from the fire or whatever, doing whatever it is to try and keep your would-be helper from getting hurt. But to do that, of course, you'd probably need to actually, no, wait. You can game the system here. You could actually take that minus and use it to replace your own minus.
Ah, all right.
Yeah, that's
How
what I
about
was
that?
thinking.
How about that? Uh-huh.
If you're going to save somebody else, you might as well just replace a minus with a minus so that nothing changes,
Yeah.
You're going to get hit with a minus one way or the other.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just a question of who it is that takes the blow. Do you want to jump in and stop it being them? Or, I mean, because it might, in this case, with so many minuses, I mean, you've got plus, plus, minus, minus. With so many minuses on the board, it doesn't matter as much. If it were a situation where you had, say, a lot of blanks, then it would probably be bad because you'd have to be giving away a better die for the worse one to rescue.
Yeah, I think it does make a lot of sense for me to be sort of not paying attention to either of my comrades who are throwing themselves in danger. But I don't want to I purposely made this dangerous for us. I don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to I'm going to take Mischief's minus.
Okay.
Because I like that strike is throwing weapons into combat. And I feel like that leans itself better to this is dangerous than I could almost see I could almost figure out a way where Mischief gets pulled out and doesn't get in trouble, but it makes things even worse for strike. So yeah, I'll trade minuses with Mischief.
Okay, gotcha. All right, yes, Mischief does have the advantage of sort of being above, above the scene. All right, so we still are looking at a plus, plus, minus, minus for you, Tagana. I am, of course, going to choose the minus because I am portraying the, gigantic demon monster that wants to crush everything. So that's a minus for the goal. You can buy that up with some equipment. You can buy that up with ego points.
Right. Can I do both or no?
Yep, you can spend both in order to turn that into a plus.
All right, so I am, the brain gun is fried for
highly experimental device. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm checking off brain gun, and I am going to spend ego.
Okay.
I'm going to get ego for that.
So you managed to succeed despite attempting to use the brain gun. I think it probably is. Yeah, I think it probably is a situation where you do end up just confusing the vehicle more than the machinery is so advanced that it's kind of meant to be used on things like the Saint or the Magnus construction. So it just ends up completely gumming up the works of connecting to the computers that control the convoy vehicle. And at the same time, it's kind of projecting static into the mind of the driver. So now he's just confused as to what's going on. Like all the controls have gone nuts in front of him, and he's having a hard time focusing his attention on anything from all this other information that's just suddenly getting thrown at him. So yes, the vehicle begins swerving from side to side until you let the brain gun go and fizzle out. And then by sheer force of will, and I think also with some assistance of knives getting thrown around, you are able to keep the Magnus off the truck, but only very barely. Like the brain gun kind of worked against you there. It was really just by you diving in there with your force of personality,
force of will, and maybe a little bit of added panic because now I'm not a saint for a split second. I wasn't a saint. I was a car. I'm like, this is not the 80s series I want to be. I don't want to be.
Exactly.
What was the name of the show?
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider. Probably better.
Actually, Automan, Knight Rider.
Yeah. There was one where a teen boy turned into a car.
Just none of them. No.
Yeah.
None of them.
Avoid that as best you can. Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Yes. So, but you do manage to snatch victory from defeat. So that gives you a plus by buying up that minus. So you have 2 pluses and a minus remaining to you. You will get to choose the cost die. Good news for you is also the beats have kind of run out, so this scene is ending one way or another, but let's find out how it actually ends. Let's see what the cost is to you in that. So
I'm going to use the plus on this. Yeah.
Sure. All right. So yeah, you avoid all injury to yourself as you project yourself into and out of the vehicle, confusing everything, but still more confusing the Magnus as to what's going on, so that it's not able to draw an attack on the convoy vehicle. At the same time, Mischief is sort of blowing the smoke back over it, so that it's having to like surge ahead to try to get out of its own smoke screen and see what's going on. Shrike is now running up to try and keep pace with the Magnus and flinging knives. Shrike, you only have a minus left, so there's going to be some damage to you as this whole thing ends up. So I think we're out of beats. I think you have an extra plus left over, so go ahead and take an ego point, Tigana. So I think
saved you.
Yeah,
exactly.
For a split second, I was like really losing myself to this stupid decision, but I succeeded. So I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong with me.
We just burned out our mechs, but that's okay because we defeated the Magnus.
Yes. Well, sort of. I mean, in the last acts of defeating the Magnus, Shrike, you run in a little too close to the Magnus, so that as it is like trying to catch up with that convoy vehicle, it sweeps around and crashes into you, and you fall over and it falls over, and the two of you end up kind of tumbling across the road, just crushing, just ripping up huge chunks of pavement, crushing trees, as both of you try to basically stop tumbling where you are. When you pull yourself up, from a stop, you can see your armor is horribly bashed up. There's, all kinds of damage warnings that are kind of like ringing around from the command center that you can hear coming back to you. It looks pretty bad from where you are. Some of the blades broke off Magnus's wing and are now kind of jammed through your armor and are probably, destroying some important internal systems. The Saint is already trying to figure out how to compensate for that and balance it out. But the Magnus sort of draws itself up in the midst of the trees, looks to the distance where that convoy vehicle is, rolling away, now that the two, now dragged even further away from, crashing into you and falling, down into the forest. It lets out another kind of horrible yell, spins, around in your direction, and then it just flaps its wings to create this huge blast of lift. The targets that it wanted to destroy are gone, and so it floats up above the ground a couple hundred feet, and then there is a blue surge like a lightning bolt firing up into the sky, and there's sort of a shell, like a shed skin of the Magnus, just kind of floating there in the sky where it was. That same a six-headed monster with all of those wings spread, and then that just sort of loses its the gravity recovers, pulls that down, and you are ducking out of a rain of these chunks of this sort of chitinous material as it crashes down into the ground around you, as it breaks that shell apart. So the Magnus has retreated back up to the upper atmosphere, and Shrike, you're kind of beaten up, but there's no fight left in it, so you are victorious. Hooray.
Hurrah.
So, cool. So, as soon as the all clear sounds, the commander and others from that, from the commanders and others from the control deck of the arcs begin sending out messages. You can hear the crews of the vehicles responding back, trying to pull themselves back together, get things reorganized to head back into the city, and already there are these lifters and helicopters and, and huge VTOLs that have been dispatched to come and pick you up and carry you back. You go into sort of a low power mode, waiting for that to happen so that you can fall back into a good, stable state to be extracted from your saints. So yeah, you kind of feel a little woozy, just sort of, find yourselves just feeling tired, that kind of like heavy feeling that you get when you first step into the Saints control pod starts to come over you again as the helicopters float overhead and latch these grappling claws under your armor and pull you up and away. And you come to sometime later in the medical bay that's connected to the pilot launch area. They've pulled you out of the pod. They've cleaned the oxygenated fluid out of your lungs. They've checked you over to make sure your vitals are all good and everything's fine and dandy. The three of you check out as okay. The medical staff gives you the thumbs up, and they send you to go to the locker rooms and change back into your academy uniforms. Job well done. So we are now in the conclusion phase of our game session. So let's go back to school here and let's get back to our beat count. So, all right. So the end of every episode, we have a little bit of wrap up because, I'm modeling a TV show where there's always a little bit of wrap up at the end. We get 1 beat per pilot for this wrap up section. So we have 3 beats here. I usually recommend you use this to kind of deal with a dangling plot thread, to take a little time to try and get rid of a trouble that's been hanging around on your pilot. Things along those lines, I think, are good ways to kind of end up the episode before we, break for the next one. So there's a quick debrief. Everything is, laid out and explained as to what happened with your, outing there to deal with the attack. Let's see. Commander Merrick is very complimentary of you and your handling of the enemy, as none of the vehicles in the convoy were destroyed, and only minor damage was sustained, including some damage to Shrike's Saint, but it's nothing the technicians can't fix. You did all burn through an awful lot of your equipment, but that's probably to be expected when you're going up against such a threatening foe as a Magnus. At the same time, you also kind of overhear the debriefing that's going on with Able Company. They were actually dispatched closer to the city. They never actually had to deal with a Magnus where they were. They were just locusts that seemed to be kind of an advance group that was trying to land ahead of the convoy so that they could catch them as they got closer to the city. So they wound up just forming up at the city and fighting off the locust. It seems that there's a little bit of, almost a little bit of disappointment among Able Company that they weren't the ones to deal with the Magnus. Actually, they came to Family Company instead of to them. Especially DeWitt, Samantha DeWitt. She seems to kind of like when she hears about the Magnus that you fought, there's some pouting going on her side. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. But after that debrief, all 6 pilots are sent to go on about their days. You get the rest of the day off. Congratulations. No more classes for you today as you recuperate. Recuperating's pretty easy for you, though. I mean, once you kind of separated yourself from the massive amounts of damage that can be done to a towering body like that, you settle back relatively quickly. That means settling back in, of course, on all of the negatives of your life as well. You still have your angst, if you have angst points left. You still have your troubles. Troubles, belong to your human form. They were not part of the Saints' troubles, but now they are yours. So consider that as well.
I got a good idea for a beat. Do you want to hear all our beats and then decide which order we want to take them in?
Sure. Now remember, we do, since we do have a limited number of beats, not everybody might get the chance to do their thing. So,
I thought it was a beat per person.
Well, it's 1 beat per person, but they're totaled up.
So if somebody could get a plus on their result and take away 2.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
So just something to bear in mind. I mean, you just be careful about who takes the spotlight, because there's a little, it's a limited resource. There's only so many hours in the day.
So
in that case, I like the idea of just pitching them and then seeing which order
one we
you
go
want to
in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, or which order at very least.
Sure.
Noah is not happy with his performance. He is definitely blaming. He's a poor craftsman that blames his tool. This brain gun that they gave me doesn't make any sense. When am I supposed to use it? Am I supposed to use it against the giant monsters and become one? That's dumb, And then, but after like arguing with that for a while, he's gonna deep breath and he's gonna go to Trainer Raj, and who he has a trouble with. That Trainer Raj doesn't believe he's a team player.
Yes.
And he Noah proved he isn't at the end of that last one. So he's going to go up to Trainer Raj with a volleyball and ask him for advice. So
Try and mend the fences there or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my idea. It does make sense for other people to be there as well, since it'd be weird to learn how to be a team player by yourself with your trainer. But however it plays out with everybody else's suggestion.
I mean, you still have the option to help each other in these scenes as well, actually. You can always offer assistance to people. One of the things I think is important about trying to put a trouble right is, you're kind of confronting a problem, and that might make you feel that you're at a disadvantage. But I'm a little more generous with the kind of assistance you can get in dealing with the trouble, because you are, specifically working to try to better yourself. So. So there are more options for assists with that too. But anyway, does anyone else have an idea for a scene they'd like to pursue?
Yeah, I'm interested in trying to address Raj having the evidence that he needs.
My
goal is to destroy that evidence.
Oh, gotcha.
Bad idea.
Okay.
Terrible
I'm not saying
idea.
it's a good idea. I'm saying that's my goal.
Saying it's the thing you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's probably the recordings of the volleyball match.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good. Yes.
Come with me on some after-hour practice, and then disappear to the back office.
Sneak away and
I'm gonna sneak into his office and alter the tapes, basically.
So bad.
All right.
I think I'd like to have a little one-on-one time with Imka, because we haven't really talked with her that much. And also, I kind of want to use this because I realize that there's a better goal that I could have than just trying to show up the other pilots. I think
other company.
Yeah, and I think this could be a good way to transition into that is by talking with my friend Imka.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea to bring Imka. I was actually thinking that Imka might be an important character as well for our next story. So that's cool. We can sort of lay a little groundwork there too. All right. Well, which one do we want to see pursued first, and how do we want to go about that? Maybe we should deal with the troubles first, just because I know that those are things that could impact a character. But I will actually decide amongst yourselves who's going first, who's potentially taking the beats.
I really want to see Fatima do something incredibly stupid. So,
all right. So you're going to go along with to the trainers, basically to the gym and the trainers' offices, and so on. Fatima and Noah. So Noah, so this will be your chance to try to talk to Raj, but at the same time, Fatima will be trying to sneak in and mess with stuff. Right? That's where we where we kind of are. All right.
I think so.
Well, then, let's see. So, fixing a trouble, or I guess in this case, making a trouble worse in order to get rid of a trouble, is it's a scene. It's like any other action we use it in order to, we use our traits and we create our scene and so on, with that goal being let's do what we can to eliminate this problem. Let me see. I want to find the specific stuff about it. Fixing troubles. Yeah. Task with a goal. One of the things to note about it is that you can get a little more help on it, actually. You can sort of get assist dice. This is one of the situations where you can get assist dice from people other than pilots. Since you are there with Noah could potentially give you an assist dice. If you are like going to someone and asking them for help, like, going directly to the NPC you have problems with and trying to sort things out with them, then that can actually get you an assist die.
From the
NPC. Yeah, from the NPC. A lot of these work that I have, my examples are largely more positive things than breaking into someoone's office and altering record stuff. It's like, go and see a counselor about this, or visit the medical bay, or chat with a dear friend.
Pretty good example of both. I will be asking for the NPC assist.
Yes,
and I'm at least unintentionally giving Fatima the assist of keeping Raj busy.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you that I need you to keep Raj busy.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I'm learning to be a team player. I'm doing it. I think Raj would be happy with me.
All right, good. So that's one. You're going to get one. Fatima, you're going to get one assist die from Noah. Fatima,
okay.
What traits do you bring to bear?
I believe this is a brash plan.
Yes.
I'm a troublemaker, and so I think I'm leaning into that. Mm-hmm. And I'm also good at intruding, which means sneaking into places.
Places you're not supposed to be. Yep.
Yeah, those are the things that I'm using.
Okay. Yes, as you slip into the trainer's offices, you know that Noah is out there, sort of out at the side of the volleyball court, talking with Raj about some important heart-to-heart nonsense. But that's 3 dice for you, and Noah, you're going to roll 1 die that Fatima can draw from. All right. Got a plus,
I got a
blank,
mix.
and you got the mix, plus, blank, and minus.
It's coming. See. Oh, I forgot to do the roll.
Do the roll part.
Yeah.
There we are. All right, and a minus. Okay. Now.
Oh, this could be sweet.
Yeah, you probably want to try and take that minus away.
I am going to take the minus from
Noah.
Yeah.
Because if you leave that minus there, then Noah's going to get in further trouble for having helped you. So
I know it. I don't want that.
Yeah. So you'll end up covering for Noah as part of your actions here. But first of all, let's choose your goal die. You've got, your choice there, the plus, the blank, and the minus. The plus means you get what you want and you control the cost die. The blank means you get what you want, and the minus means you don't get what you want.
So I'm going to go with the plus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get what I want, which is be able to alter this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's going to leave me vulnerable on my consequence. So.
Well, taking the plus means you will be the one who chooses the consequence result, and there's a blank and a minus left.
Be a blank.
Which would be the blank, which would increase your angst. But it's not another trouble.
That's reasonable, I think.
You're
I think that makes sense, actually.
Especially since you're also drawing Noah into this whole situation, asking Noah to cover for you, and then realizing, oh, hey, I'm breaking into a computer system. I'm deleting files. I am removing a report that Raj had written up over an incident that took place in a volleyball court that hasn't been submitted yet.
Well, I'm not going to delete the report. I'm just going to alter it to recommending suspension instead of expulsion.
Ah, that's a good idea. Okay. Yeah. That's true. Everyone will be happy. Justice will have been served. Just as it will be a light touch of justice, as opposed to the falling hammer of justice.
That's right.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, so that's the plus. So our beats are down to 1 now.
Do I remove the trouble? Is that what happens?
You do. Yep, you do remove the trouble. The trouble's been cleared from your character record. But you gained a point of angst.
But I gained a point of angst. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, yeah, I do feel guilty about this. So.
Yeah, I mean, you probably some of that guilt comes from bringing Noah into it. I mean, realizing as you leave the office, looking over and seeing Noah, they're sitting there talking to Raj, shielding you from harm. Maybe not exactly realizing all that went on, but oh well.
Right.
Speaking of that, Noah, do you want to take that scene now to talk things out with Raj?
Sure. Yes, I am. I'm not going to just hide behind my self-doubt. I'm fearlessly going to face this character flaw of mine that I don't like to work with others. I'm looking to empathize and figure out some stuff about myself. So I think it's fearless, empathizing, discovery, and mostly the reason I'm doing this is I can't do this alone. I can't seek justice and expect the preservation force to do more if it's all on my back.
Gotcha.
So I gotta learn how to do this. I'm swallowing my pride here.
Okay. Now the good news about an assist die coming from an NPC is you don't necessarily have to take it. Like bad stuff won't automatically happen. That's kind of the advantage of an assist die not coming from another player is, the worst that happens is they get frustrated with you for having wasted their time. It doesn't break anything.
Right.
All right. So go ahead and roll your traits. That sounded like you had 3 traits there, right?
I think it's 4.
4?
I think, can we do hope as well, or?
Oh yeah. Your hope can count toward this. Yeah, that's true.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
This is gonna be a big deal for me if it works.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not getting any help from Raj. So hopefully
that was bad. Negative plus.
Ouch. All right. Well.
And another negative from
another negative. Raj was no help in this situation. So you kind of hit a wall with him, but there's still that plus. You can still fix things. It's just a question of, are you going to then have to use ego or something in order to patch stuff up on the back end? So okay, well, which one are you choosing for the goal? If you choose a minus, things don't get fixed. You stay at odds.
So what would happen if I chose a minus and then a plus for the consequence?
Things you would stay at odds. This trouble would not be fixed, but there would be no additional trouble or angst coming out of the situation. You would just kind of this is where you butt heads and then you back away.
I don't move. Yeah,
exactly.
I want to move a little bit. Like I said, this is important to me, so I'm going to pick the positive for this. Obviously, that means I have to pick a negative and try to buy it up to at least a blank.
Yeah, you can spend 1 point of ego to buy it up to be a blank.
Or I can keep it as a negative, and I have a great
some other kind of
conversation with Raj, and at the end, he at least knows I was covering for something. So I'm a team player, but I'm somebody. I don't want to throw this on Fatima right away, because that would negate what she just accomplished.
Right.
But he knows something's up, and I was just keeping him busy. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. If you like that, then let's do that. Yeah. So you can clear away the trouble. Trainer Raj doesn't think I'm a team player. So yes, you have that heart-to-heart conversation. Raj begins to sort of understand where you're coming from with all this kind of thing and all that. But then sort of at the end of your conversation, you see Fatima slipping out the side door of the the offices and heading across the volleyball court, kind of walking away from everything. Raj suddenly gets a little chiming noise on his link, reaches into his pocket, pulls it out, to read down it. Seems somewhat confused by what he's reading. Slaps the link shut, gives you a long, stern look, right in your eyes. Noah, do you know anything about this? He flips the link up toward you, and there is a little personal security alarm about file access.
My jaw drops for a minute because I didn't really know about it. I kind of had a good idea. Hey, I'm just trying to be a team player.
There's a difference between being a team player and being an accomplice.
That was Frank laughing.
That was Frank laughing.
And Noah stifling the laugh internally, yes.
Yeah, just sort of like crestfallen because I thought this was going to be good, but still disappointed me.
Yep. Raj, Raj stands up, looks down at the the device, shaking his head, turns back to you and says, "Look, when you want to talk seriously about actually making some improvements, find me then, okay? But for now, just try not to make anything worse, okay?"
Oh, yeah. All right. So I've replaced Trainer Raj thinks I'm not a team player with Trainer Raj thinks I'm a patsy.
Yep.
Yeah.
You and he are not getting along. It's
I
just
like
not
this.
happening.
That's so cool.
Yeah. The shifting nature of your relationship. Not necessarily better, but like at least not worse.
Different.
Not worse. Maybe. Yeah. Just shifting to a different kind of misunderstanding. Now we can still have. We don't necessarily have to have all scenes cost beats, actually. So if Rebel, if you would still like to have Salem meet up with Imka just for a quick talk, we can do that. We won't really be able to roll any dice or make any big things happen, but we can still have that sort of character scene if you do want to talk to her a bit.
Yeah, I'd like that. Also, like, I didn't have like a conflict in mind when I was going into the scene, so this works out just
even
fine.
better. Yep. Good.
Yeah.
So what do I mean, Imka is usually down in the mech bays working on stuff. Like being engineer second class means there's a lot of repair work to be done and things like that. In fact, I think if you go down to find her right away, she's probably working on Shrike, which is kind of fun because they're gigantic cranes carefully extracting enormous, blades shaped like feathers from Shrike's armor and looking to see what they have to patch up and, tearing things down to see what they have to put back together. Shrike just sort of looming over all of you in this kind of like rack that that keeps it up against the wall of the launch bay. But Imka can always take a break to talk with you. So, what's up?
It's just so weird to see it when it's not your body,
Yeah, it's it's something. All right. I should probably tell you about what happened to me and Sylph someday, but I don't know. It's kind of a weird story. But yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt at all, right? She points up and indicates this, huge blade that's basically, now you kind of see it. It's kind of going through what, if you were human, would be going through your lung, but to Shrike, that was just an inconvenience more than a mortal injury.
Yeah, it's like, when you like get punched and you kind of like feel it, but it's like doesn't even leave a bruise. It felt more like that than it did getting stabbed through the lung,
Yeah. Someday we should sit down and take a look at your adrenaline profiles. There's a lot of interesting stuff that goes on with a pilot's brain. All that brain chemistry and stuff, when you're piloting, the Saint is kind of in charge of all that. A lot of endorphins, a lot of adrenaline stuff, even like serotonin. All those things are kind of being influenced by the machine in a way that's like, I imagine a psychiatrist would wish they had that kind of control over people's, medications or something like that. That's the saint's job to regulate all of that when you're fighting. So, yeah, it does make you think. I mean, I certainly thought about it a lot. That's kind of why I wanted to be the technician that I am. But second class doesn't get to climb up all the way into the head of the thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, I know you'll make first class someday. I mean, you're really smart and you've done a lot of work, so.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I hope I do. I don't want to climb too high, though, you know? If you get up to like the really high clearances, well, then you have to basically decide if you're going to continue being a technician or if you're going to apply for the CRC, the Cloistered Research Council. And if you do that, well, you kind of have to give up your identity. Like, I know a guy who I think got into the CRC because one day he was just gone, like nothing. Like, looked up my old text messages with him had been scrubbed out of my link. But that was what
wild.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he wanted, though. They have to have this anonymity thing, this whole protecting secrets, and no one can know, so they can't be swayed or bought or whatever. But yeah, I don't know that I have the guts to go that far, but I would at least like to look around in the brain of one of these things, for real.
I think you could do it.
Maybe. I mean, we might be able to run some kind of tests about that stuff sooner than you think. There's going to be a whole lot of investigation into what's going on with that whole brain gun thing that they were testing out with NOAA. So maybe that'll be part of it.
Yeah, I just don't think that Noah and Fatima are really with us all the time, They just get so caught up in their own heads.
I mean, that happens to anybody around your age, honestly. You've got a lot going on, Maybe you've got a little more of a head on your shoulders about it, but everybody's going through an awful lot right now.
Yeah. I just wish I could do something to help, Their energies are all over the place.
Well, I think we can probably work something out for them. And I think that's where the credits start to roll, which is good because we've kind of, yes. All right.
But we were also late, so.
That's it. Yep. So that's our first episode of the show. I think it's good because we've already sort of set up kind of what we want to talk about for the second episode, and I've still got my list of subjects and tone things to draw on. So we've got some story seeds ready for episode 2 as we try to figure out what's going on in the brains of saints.
I like this. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with how cinematic this ends up being. It feels a lot like an episode of a TV show. I like that a lot. Very cool. Well, to find out more about Tears of the Machine and the ongoing Kickstarter, go to robotclaw.info. Find out more about Dungeon Not Included. Go to wherever you are seeing or hearing this and look a little harder. Because I'm sure there's a link somewhere.
Zoom
Probably.
out. And
yes. Think back to how you got here, then do that again. For always. This has been Dungeon Not Included. Good night, everyone.